Are you feeling like the weight of the world is just too much to carry? Like you've been searching for peace, but it's always out of reach? I get it. There's a deep ache when comfort feels distant, when you're desperate for relief, but can't seem to find it anywhere. We all face those moments, don't we? In times like these, Psalm 71 speaks to our hearts. It's a cry from someone who knows what it's like to feel abandoned, helpless, and alone. In you, Lord, I have taken refuge. Let me never be put to shame, the psalmist says in the opening words of Psalm 71, verse 1. That's a desperate plea, isn't it? When we feel forsaken, when we're on our last nerve, we can still take refuge in God. He is the place we run to when nothing else feels safe. Have you ever felt like the storms of life just won't stop raging? You know the kind of storms I'm talking about. The ones that hit when you least expect them, when you feel like you've got no more strength to keep going. It's in those moments that we need something, someone to cling to. And that's where Psalm 71 really meets us. It's not just words on a page, it's a cry from the soul, a desperate reaching out to God for shelter. The psalmist says in verse 2, "Rescue me and deliver me in your righteousness. Turn your ear to me and save me." Do you feel that? The urgent need for God to hear us, to save us, to rescue us from the endless turmoil. The psalmist isn't asking for a little help. This is a life or death prayer, and guess what? God hears it. He doesn't leave us out in the cold, drowning in our pain. He hears our cries, He turns His ear to us, and He answers. It's the same God who heard the cries of His people in Egypt when they were oppressed, when they thought there was no way out. He responded to their desperate need, and He will respond to ours. This is not a distant, uninvolved God. This is a God who runs toward the brokenhearted, who embraces the desperate. It's easy to feel weak when life keeps throwing punches, right? When everything around you feels like it's falling apart, it's hard to hold on to any sense of strength. But let's talk about something the psalmist gets right in Psalm 71. They're not pretending to be strong. Instead, they recognize their weakness and lay it before God. In verse 3, it says, "Be my rock of refuge, to which I can always go. Give the command to save me, for you are my rock and my fortress." You hear that? I can always go. Not just when things are going well, not just when we're feeling good, but always. God is not a refuge for sunny days. He's a stronghold for the storms, for the broken moments, for when we've been knocked to our knees. Let's take a moment and think about the Israelites in the wilderness, wandering around with no home, no security. They had nothing but their faith in a God who promised to be their refuge. God didn't just provide shelter, He became their constant protection. When the storm clouds gathered, they didn't have to search for Him. He was right there, leading them, providing for them, even when they felt like they were wandering in circles. In our weakness, in our confusion, when we don't even know what the next step is, God says, "I am your refuge. Come to me, I will be your fortress." What an invitation to have a God who is not distant, but one who draws close, one who stands firm even when everything else crumbles. When we feel like we have no strength left, we can rest in the reality that God is our fortress. He's the one who shields us from the attacks of life, the one who holds us when we're too tired to stand. Our weaknesses don't push God away, they draw Him closer. And maybe, just maybe, our weakest moments are the ones when we need Him most. If God can protect the Israelites in the wilderness, He can protect us in the messes we find ourselves in. So when you feel weak, don't run from Him, run to Him. He's already waiting. Have you ever felt like you've been waiting forever for something to change, but all you see are the same struggles day after day? It can feel like you're stuck in a cycle, like your prayers are bouncing off the ceiling unanswered. But here's the truth. God's faithfulness doesn't change with the seasons. His character doesn't shift because of our circumstances. Psalm 71 is filled with reminders of how God has been faithful in the past, even when his people were in the darkest of places. In verse 5, the psalmist says, "For you have been my hope, sovereign Lord, my confidence since my youth." Let that sink in for a moment. Since their youth. God's faithfulness was not a recent discovery. It wasn't a sudden thing that appeared in a time of crisis. The psalmist is reflecting on a lifetime of trust in God, remembering that he has been the foundation from the very beginning. When you feel like your world is falling apart, it's so easy to forget the times when God has come through for you in the past. But look back. God has always been there. Maybe you don't see it in the moment, but when you take a step back and reflect, you'll see the hand of God guiding, protecting, and providing. Think about the Israelites as they wandered in the desert for 40 years. In the middle of their struggles, they didn't always see it, but God was providing for them the whole time. The manna from heaven, the water from the rock, the cloud by day, the fire by night. It was God's faithfulness every single step of the way. He didn't forget them in their hardship, and he won't forget you either. You may not always understand what God is doing or why things seem so hard right now, but one thing is certain, he is faithful. Just like he was there for the Israelites then, he is here for us now. And he will continue to be faithful to the very end. When your world feels shaken, remember that God has always been your rock, and he always will be. It's hard to talk about it, but let's be real for a second. There are moments when you feel like you're slipping, when it feels like your strength is running out, and your hope is hanging by a thread. Your mind starts telling you that you're too old for this fight, that maybe you've been at it for too long, and that victory is just a distant dream. The psalmist understands that pain. In Psalm 71, verse 9, they cry out, "Do not cast me away when I am old. Do not forsake me when my strength is gone." That desperation, that plea, resonates deep in our souls, doesn't it? We all have those moments when we feel like we're running out of time, running out of strength, and we just don't know how to keep going. But here's the thing. The moment we think we're done, that's when God steps in. Think about the story of Abraham and Sarah. They were promised a child, but their years were slipping away, and the miracle seemed impossible. But God wasn't finished with them. In fact, God chose that impossible moment to show up and prove that his power doesn't depend on our strength. "Is anything too hard for the Lord?" he asked. It may have seemed impossible to Abraham and Sarah, but with God, nothing is impossible. The psalmist isn't just crying out to God to save them. They're remembering the strength God has given them in the past, even when they thought they couldn't go on. The same God who gave strength to David to face Goliath, who gave Moses the courage to face Pharaoh, and who parted the Red Sea, that God is the one who will give us the strength we need. So even when we feel like we're at our weakest, that's the moment when God is ready to step in and remind us that our strength is never in ourselves. It's in him. Just when you think you're done, that's when God is about to do something powerful. Hold on to that truth. He hasn't forgotten you. Ever been at a point where you've just had enough? When the pressure of life builds up and you feel like there's no one there to help, you turn to friends, to family, to everything you can think of, and yet nothing seems to ease the burden. It's in those moments, those deepest valleys, that we can find the most comfort in the truth that God is near. Psalm 71 verse 12 speaks that cry, "Do not be far from me, my God. Come quickly, God, to help me." The psalmist is desperate. This isn't a casual prayer. It's urgent. It's the kind of prayer you say when everything in you knows you can't face another moment without divine intervention. I can't help but think of when the Israelites were trapped between the Red Sea and Pharaoh's army. Talk about feeling cornered. It looked like there was no way out. They were desperate, and they cried out to God, "Why did you bring us here to die?" But in that moment of distress, when all seemed lost, God was already at work. With one mighty move, the Red Sea parted and they were delivered. God didn't wait until things looked better to step in. He moved in their desperation. In the same way, when you feel like God is far away or that He's not listening, know this: He's never been closer than when you feel alone. The psalmist's plea for God to not be far is a reminder that God is not distant or detached from our pain. He's present, He's listening, and He's ready to come to our aid, even when we can't see the way forward. So, when you feel like you're all alone, take heart. You are not. God is right there, even in your distress. His presence is a refuge, and He doesn't delay in coming to your rescue. There's something terrifying about feeling attacked from all sides. The moment when it feels like your enemies are closing in and there's no way to escape. It's not just about physical danger, but also emotional and spiritual warfare. The psalmist understood this all too well. In Psalm 71, verse 10, they cry, "For my enemies speak against me. Those who wait to kill me conspire together." You can almost feel the weight of this moment, the psalmist's fear, the anxiety that comes when you know others are plotting against you, when you feel isolated, misunderstood, or even betrayed. It's a painful, suffocating place to be. But here's the thing about God: He fights for us. Just like He did for David when Saul relentlessly pursued him, or when the armies of Israel were outnumbered and outmatched, God shows up in our darkest hours. David was literally hiding in caves, running for his life. Yet God was his refuge. God was with him, even when it seemed like the world was against him. And when David was finally crowned king, it wasn't just about the victory. It was about the reminder that God had been his protector all along. The psalmist's words in verse 11 are chilling. They say God has forsaken him, pursue him and seize him, for no one will rescue him. It's the cruelest thing to feel abandoned by everyone, even by those who should love and protect you. But even in those moments, when it feels like no one is looking out for you, God is still there. He's the one who sees your tears in the silence, who hears your cries even when everyone else has turned away. Your enemies may be loud, but God's voice is louder. And when everything feels like it's falling apart, you can take comfort in the truth that God is your shield and your defender. No weapon formed against you will prosper. When they rise against you, God will rise higher. As we get older, it's easy to feel like our best days are behind us. The strength we once had starts to fade, and we begin to wonder if we still have any purpose or power left. It's a harsh reality, isn't it? But Psalm 71 gives us a beautiful reminder that God is with us at every stage of life. In verse 18, the psalmist says, "Even when I am old and gray, do not forsake me, my God, till I declare your power to the next generation, your mighty acts to all who are to come." The psalmist isn't asking God to take them out of their old age. They're asking for God to continue using them. Even in their twilight years, the psalmist still wants to proclaim God's greatness to those who come after. Think about Moses for a second. He led the Israelites out of Egypt, through the wilderness, and into the promised land. But even when Moses was old, when his strength was failing and his eyesight was dimming, God wasn't done with him. God used Moses to lay out the law, to show the next generation how to trust in God, how to live according to His will. Moses may have felt like he was fading away, but God still used him for a mighty purpose, even in his old age. This truth is powerful. God doesn't just use the young and strong. He uses the broken, the weary, the ones who feel like they've got nothing left to give. In our weakest moments, God can do His greatest work. Just like He's been faithful throughout our lives, He will continue to be faithful as we age. In fact, our age and our experiences give us a unique opportunity to share His love and power with those around us. Don't think for a moment that God has forgotten you because of your age. Your testimony still has power. Your life still has purpose. God's calling on you doesn't expire when your body grows tired. He is still with you, still using you, still moving in your life. Have you ever felt like your past mistakes are just haunting you? Like no matter how hard you try, you can't escape the weight of your failures? The guilt, the shame, it feels like a cloud that won't lift. In those moments, we need to remember the righteousness of God, because it's His righteousness that redeems us, not our own. In Psalm 71, verse 16, the psalmist declares, "I will come and proclaim your mighty acts, sovereign Lord. I will proclaim your righteousness, yours alone." It's so easy to focus on our own shortcomings, to get lost in the endless cycle of "I'm not good enough," or "I've messed up too many times." But the psalmist reminds us that our hope is not in our own righteousness, but in God's. Think about the story of the Apostle Paul. He was a man who, at one point, persecuted Christians, imprisoned them, and approved of their deaths. Talk about a past filled with shame. But God didn't hold his past against him. Instead, God showed him grace and transformed him into one of the most powerful voices for the gospel. Paul, who once thought he was too far gone, became a living testimony of God's righteousness. And that's the hope we can hold on to. God doesn't discard us because of our past. He redeems us and makes us new. God's righteousness is not about what we've done or failed to do. It's about who He is, perfect, just, and loving. It's because of His righteousness that we can stand before Him without fear. It's because of His righteousness that we are not condemned, but forgiven. No matter how far you've fallen, no matter how many mistakes you've made, you can find hope in God's righteousness. It's not about your track record. It's about His. And His record is flawless. That's the kind of hope we need in times of guilt and despair. Have you ever felt like the love of those around you can be fleeting? Like people will love you one day and walk away the next? It can leave you feeling abandoned, rejected, like no one truly sees or values you. But here's the incredible truth. God's love is different. It's not based on our performance, not conditional on our actions. It's constant, unfailing, and deeper than we can fully understand. In Psalm 71, verse 14, the psalmist declares, "As for me, I will always have hope. I will praise you more and more." This kind of hope doesn't come from anything earthly. It comes from a deep trust in God's unchanging love. Think about the story of the prodigal son. He had everything: wealth, status, love from his father. But he chose to walk away, waste everything, and find himself in a pigsty, hungry and alone. Yet when he returned, his father didn't reject him. His father ran to him, threw his arms around him, and welcomed him home. That's the kind of love God has for us. No matter how far we've strayed, no matter how badly we've messed up, He is always ready to embrace us, always ready to forgive. God's love is not a fickle love. It's a love that endures, a love that never gives up on us. When the world around us feels like it's falling apart, when we feel abandoned or forgotten, we can find comfort in knowing that God's love is unshakable. No one can take it away from us. No failure, no mistake, no distance we put between ourselves and God can sever that bond. So, when you feel alone or unloved, rest in the truth that God's love is with you. It's a love that doesn't falter, doesn't fade, and it will never, ever leave you. That's the kind of comfort we can find in His arms. Sometimes it feels like the battle will never end, like the weight of our struggles will crush us. You face your hardships, and no matter how hard you fight, it seems like the victory is always out of reach. But here's the promise. God has delivered His people before, and He will deliver us now. In Psalm 71, verse 20, the psalmist boldly declares, "Though you have made me see troubles, many and bitter, you will restore my life again. From the depths of the earth, you will again bring me up." The psalmist isn't denying the pain. They're acknowledging it, but they're also proclaiming God's faithfulness to bring them through it. Think about the story of Daniel in the lion's den. The king had thrown him into a pit filled with hungry lions. Yet God delivered him. He didn't keep Daniel from facing the lions, but He didn't allow the lions to harm him. God's deliverance doesn't always look like we expect. Sometimes He allows us to face the battle, but He promises that we won't face it alone. The same God who delivered Daniel will deliver us. He's the God who took Israel out of Egypt, who rescued Jonah from the belly of the fish, and who sent His Son to deliver us all from sin and death. Deliverance is in His nature. It's who He is. Whatever you're facing right now, hold on to the truth that God will not leave you in the depths forever. He is a God who lifts us from despair, who brings us from the pit to the mountaintop. It's not about avoiding the trouble. It's about trusting that He will restore us, that He will bring us through, no matter how impossible it seems. The victory isn't always immediate, but God's deliverance is sure. Step. It's not just about physical exhaustion, but the kind of weariness that seeps deep into your soul. That's when we need God's strength more than ever. In Psalm 71, verse 16, the psalmist says, "I will come and proclaim your mighty acts, sovereign Lord. I will proclaim your righteousness, yours alone." In this verse, the psalmist doesn't just talk about what God has done. They boldly declare what God will do. It's an act of faith, standing firm on the belief that God will renew our strength, no matter how drained we feel. Think about Elijah after his mighty victory over the prophets of Baal. He was on a high, but then, in a moment of fear and isolation, he fled into the wilderness. He was so worn out, both physically and emotionally, that he wished for death. But God didn't leave him there. Instead, God sent an angel to strengthen him, giving him food and water to restore his energy. Then God spoke to him not through the wind, the earthquake, or the fire, but through a gentle whisper. God's strength didn't come in the dramatic moments. It came quietly, but it was just what Elijah needed to keep going. When we're tired, When we feel like we're running on empty, God is the source of our strength. His strength is made perfect in our weakness. When we don't have enough power to carry on, He fills us up with His own. He's the one who gives us the energy to keep moving, the endurance to press on. So when you're feeling worn out and ready to give up, remember that God is the source of true strength. He will equip you to face what's ahead. Even when you think you can't go any further, His strength is more than enough. When everything feels like it's crumbling, it's easy to fall into silence, to withdraw from the world and just try to survive the storm. But the psalmist shows us something powerful in Psalm 71 verse 14, where they declare, "As for me, I will always have hope. I will praise you more and more." This is a deliberate choice, a defiant declaration in the face of despair. In the middle of their struggle, the psalmist chooses praise. They don't wait until things are perfect. They don't wait for the storm to pass. They praise God in the middle of it all. Think about Paul and Silas in prison. They were beaten, locked in chains, and thrown into the deepest part of the jail. It would have made sense for them to cry, to scream, or even to give up. But instead, at midnight, they were praying and singing hymns to God. It was a choice to praise, even in the darkest of circumstances. And do you know what happened? An earthquake shook the prison. The doors flew open, and their chains fell off. God responded to their praise, not by immediately removing the pain, but by showing His power in the middle of it. Praise shifts our focus from our problems to the greatness of God. It reminds us of who He is, what He's already done, and the promises He's made. When we praise, we acknowledge that God is still good, even when life isn't. It's a powerful act of trust. So, when you feel like you can't go on, when you're drowning in pain or doubt, praise Him. You don't need perfect circumstances to praise a perfect God. Praise is the bridge between the storm and the peace that follows. It's a weapon in our battle for comfort. When life gets overwhelming, it's easy to forget how many times God has pulled us through before. We get caught up in the present struggles and lose sight of the countless times God has been faithful to us in the past. But the psalmist doesn't let that happen. In Psalm 71, verse 17, they remember, "Since my youth, God, you have taught me, and to this day I declare your marvelous deeds." The psalmist looks back, reminding themselves of everything God has done throughout their life. Every moment of deliverance, every answer to prayer, every sign of His presence. And in remembering, they find the strength to keep going. Think about the Israelites as they crossed the Jordan River into the Promised Land. After God miraculously stopped the waters so they could pass, they set up 12 stones as a memorial. When future generations saw those stones, they were meant to ask, "What do these stones mean?" And the answer would be, "This is where God showed His power and faithfulness to us." The Israelites didn't just cross the river and forget about it. They were to remember God's deeds and pass them down to the next generation. That act of remembering wasn't just for them. It was to strengthen their faith, to remind them that the God who had brought them this far would continue to lead them forward. When you're facing trials, it's crucial to take a moment and look back at how God has worked in your life before. Remember those moments when He showed up unexpectedly, when He provided in ways you couldn't imagine. Those memories aren't just for nostalgia. They're there to remind you that the same God who was faithful then is faithful now. So even when the present feels heavy, remember the past. It's a reminder that God's faithfulness has no expiration date, and it gives us the courage to face whatever comes next. When the world feels like it's closing in and you can't shake the anxiety, it's easy to forget that God is still guarding you. His protection doesn't waver. Psalm 71 verse 3 says, "Be my rock of refuge, to which I can always go. Give the command to save me, for you are my rock and my fortress." This isn't just a fleeting request, it's a statement of confidence. The psalmist doesn't say, "Maybe God will be my refuge," or "If God has time, he'll protect me." No, they're saying, "God is my refuge. I can always run to him." Consider the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. When they were thrown into the fiery furnace, they didn't know how God would deliver them, but they knew God was their protector. They said to King Nebuchadnezzar, "If we are thrown into the blazing furnace, the God we serve is able to deliver us from it, and he will deliver us from your majesty's hand." Their trust wasn't in the outcome they could see. It was in the protection of the God they knew to be faithful. And guess what? God didn't just keep them from the flames, he showed up in the middle of them, walking with them, protecting them in the fire. When you feel the heat of life's trials pressing in, remember that God is your fortress, your protection, your shield. His protection doesn't just keep you from trouble, it sustains you through it. In the darkest moments, he is still covering you, still guarding your heart and mind, still walking with you, even when it feels like you're walking through fire. You're not in this alone, and you're not left unprotected. God's presence is your protection. You can rest in the truth that he will keep you safe, even when the world feels like it's falling apart. It's hard to look ahead when the present feels so heavy. The weight of today can cloud any hope for tomorrow. But the psalmist reminds us that our hope doesn't come from our circumstances. It comes from the promises of God. In Psalm 71 verse 20, it says, "Though you have made me see troubles, many and bitter, you will restore my life again. From the depths of the earth, you will again bring me up." Even in the darkest times, there is the hope that God will restore, that he will bring us up from the depths, just as he has done countless times before. Think about Job. His life seemed like it was falling apart. His wealth, his health, his family, everything was taken from him. Yet, even in his suffering, Job held on to the hope that God would restore him, and God did. Not only did he restore Job's life, but he gave him more than he had before. God's promises are not limited by our current pain. They are eternal, stretching into the future with a certainty that nothing on earth can shake. When you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, that's when you need to remember God's promises. He is a God who makes all things new. He doesn't just promise us relief from suffering, he promises restoration. He promises joy after mourning, peace after chaos, and beauty after brokenness. Even when it feels like you're stuck in a pit with no way out, God is at work, preparing a future of hope for you. His promises never fail. And the best part is, they're not just for the future, they're for the here and now. Hold on to those promises today, because the same God who restores the broken is working in your life, even when you can't see it yet. There are times when the feeling of loneliness can be overwhelming, when it seems like everyone has moved on with their lives and you're left behind. You might be surrounded by people, but still feel like you're completely alone in the struggle. But here's the thing. Even in those lonely moments, God promises to be near. Psalm 71 verse 10 shows the psalmist wrestling with that feeling. For my enemies speak against me, those who wait to kill me conspire together. It's the pain of isolation, of feeling like everyone is against you and you're all alone. Yet in the middle of that battle, the psalmist turns to God, seeking refuge in his presence. Remember Elijah again, sitting under that tree, overwhelmed and alone, asking God to take his life. He felt utterly abandoned, even though he had just seen God move in powerful ways. But God didn't leave him in his despair. God sent him food, gave him rest, and spoke to him in a whisper. Elijah might have felt alone, but God was there the whole time, providing and comforting. When we feel isolated, when we think no one understands or cares, that's when we need to remember that God is near. He doesn't abandon us when we're at our lowest. He doesn't leave us to fight our battles alone. He is with us, especially when the world feels silent. Even if no one else notices or understands your pain, God does. He sees every tear, hears every cry, and is with you in every moment of loneliness. His presence is the comfort that never leaves, even when the world does. So in those lonely times, take comfort in knowing that God is right there with you, holding you close. You are never truly alone. When everything around you is falling apart, sometimes it feels impossible to find joy. The burdens weigh so heavily, the struggles feel endless, and the darkness seems to stretch on forever. But in Psalm 71, verse 23, the psalmist declares, "My lips will shout for joy when I sing praise to you, I whom you have delivered." That joy isn't based on circumstances. It's rooted in something far deeper, the salvation of God. Even in the hardest times, the psalmist knows that God has already delivered them before, and he will do it again. That truth brings joy, even in the midst of sorrow. Think of the moment when the Israelites crossed the Red Sea. After they had been delivered from Egypt, the waters parted, and they walked on dry land to freedom. The first thing they did was break into song, praising God for their deliverance. They weren't ignoring the difficulty they'd just been through. They were acknowledging that God had brought them through it. That is the essence of joy in the Lord, a deep, unshakable joy that springs from knowing that no matter what we face, God is with us and He will deliver us. This kind of joy doesn't come from the temporary or the fleeting, it comes from the eternal. It's the joy of knowing that no matter how hard life gets, God has already secured our ultimate victory. When you're feeling overwhelmed and exhausted, take a moment to remember your salvation. Remember that you've been rescued. Remember that God has already defeated death, sin, and every enemy that comes against you. That's something to celebrate. So let your heart rejoice even in the darkest times, because God's salvation is a reason for joy that no circumstance can take away. Sometimes when life feels overwhelming and the struggles seem endless, it's easy to forget that God's work in us is continuous. Even when we can't see it, even when the circumstances don't change, God is still at work, shaping, refining, and empowering us. Psalm 71 verse 18 expresses a powerful truth. Even when I am old and gray, do not forsake me, my God, till I declare your power to the next generation, your mighty acts to all who are to come. The psalmist isn't just asking for God's presence. They're asking for the ongoing power of God to be at work in their life. They recognize that God doesn't stop working in us. No matter how old we get or how much life has worn us down. Think of the Apostle Paul, who, even in prison and in the face of death, was still writing letters encouraging believers and declaring the power of God. His physical body was weak, but the power of the Holy Spirit was constantly working in him. He understood that God's work wasn't limited by his circumstances or his age. It was an eternal work that could not be stopped. Just as Paul declared in 2 Corinthians 4:16, "Though outwardly we are wasting away, yet inwardly we are being renewed day by day." The Spirit of God doesn't leave us when we get tired or when life gets tough. In fact, it's often in those moments that He does His most powerful work. Even in our struggles, even when we feel like we're just surviving day to day, God is working. His Spirit is moving within us, transforming us, renewing our strength, and empowering us to keep moving forward. When you feel worn out, remember that God's Spirit is at work in you, breathing new life, giving you the strength to keep going. He doesn't stop. His work is ongoing, and it's never in vain. God will continue His work in you until it's completed, until He calls you home. And even then, His power will be proclaimed through your life. Never underestimate the work God is doing in you, even when you don't feel it. The Spirit is always at work, always renewing, always empowering. As we come to the end of this prayerful journey, I want you to remember something deeply important. No matter where you are right now, God's timing is perfect, and His peace is always available. Psalm 71 verse 24 closes with this heartfelt cry, "My tongue will tell of your righteous acts all day long, for those who wanted to harm me have been put to shame and confusion." The psalmist ends by looking ahead, trusting that God will deliver, and knowing that even when things seem impossible, God will make things right. There's a quiet peace in trusting His timing, a peace that transcends our understanding. Just think about Jesus. He didn't come in the way the world expected. He came at just the right time, fulfilling God's perfect plan. Even when the world rejected Him, when He was suffering on the cross, Jesus knew that God's plan was being carried out. He trusted His Father's timing, and through that trust, He brought salvation to the world. When you feel like things are falling apart or you're desperate for answers, trust in God's timing. His deliverance may not always come when you want it, but it will always come at the right moment. So as we wrap up this prayer, know that God sees you, He hears you, and He's already at work behind the scenes, bringing peace, restoration, and deliverance. Lean into His arms today and rest in His love and care. You are never forgotten, never abandoned, and always deeply loved. If this prayer has encouraged you, I'd love for you to subscribe and join our community. Share this message with someone who might need the comfort and peace of knowing that God is always with them. Comment below with your prayer requests. I'm praying for each of you. And remember, no matter where you are, no matter what you're facing, God's arms are open wide, ready to hold you close. Keep trusting, keep praying, and know that He is with you now and always.